Eric, and
All right, right.
I don't think we got anywhere past me asking what the book was.
Yeah, he also was, and then it cut off.
Okay. So she looks up to you with like this look of like almost lost, um, and she says, um, it appears to be some sort of history, um, some sort of event that happened, um, but it would require me to actually, um, research and translate all the way. It's very hard to make out as the language is very archaic, but certainly it's dwarven in nature.
Interesting. I'd be very interested in these translations. I start pulling out more of these books and handing to him. I have 6 of them on me.
So like she takes them and um, you just see she seems to be like very disconnected as she's just like just very briefly like thumbing through like a few pages to like see.
He's a geek.
I I can't believe you found these. And she's just
Um,
thumbing through.
Well, I understand the books are of great importance, and actually, there was one other thing we discovered in the mine. Felix, do you still have it?
oh! I gesture to my forehead. Is it glowing now or?
Yes, it's glowing.
Ah,
It's not like illuminating like 5 feet of light or anything. It's just like a very dim, like imagine like in the Hobbit Stinger, kind of.
yep,
It's like
yep.
not really enough to,
Magical LED indicator.
yeah, sort of along those lines of like level of glow. So she looks and she like just takes a closer look, like it's like really close to your face. May I?
Uh, sure. I take it off, hand it to her.
It's been glowing intermittently as we've been going near the mines. Uh,
Yes, I was going to spend some time tomorrow to try to figure out its all of its qualities, but any help you could be.
Personal theory is that something that one of the miners is either carrying or has just been in the mine and carried out with all the stuff that's been carried on with us as the miners are fleeing. Something is having a reaction with it.
This could be a reaction
Peculiar.
to.
There's well, various glyphs, sigils, and runes. Um, this is fine craftsmanship. My word. And she just kind of, talking to herself and looking at it. And, after a few seconds, she, like, realizes that, this is obviously yours. And she politely gestures, gives it back.
Thank you. Put it back on.
And yes, well, I'm sure you two would love to go over the artifact more, perhaps at a later date. I think it's more pressing that we try and deal with these Ankeg, you said?
Yes, Ankeg. They come from the desert regions. I'm not sure what they're doing out this far, but, um, well, there's not many creatures like that around here.
Well, I do not know what level of authority you have while the Lord is away. This may be something that the Lord will have to address himself, but if I had to give a personal recommendation, I would say send whatever units of your army that you have available to likely burn out the mine would be the um, most likely to succeed in dealing with that many.
Possibly.
Um,
Um, I can't say I have much authority in this matter. Not to this scale. But on Keg, I have heard of them. Um, it's possible we can come up with a plan.
Well, you seem to know more of them. My only concern is right now they're in the mine, though as we fled once the vast majority of the horde or swarm awoken to come chase us, there seemed to be several dozen already, and they seemed willing to leave the mines. I'm only concerned that as more and more of them hatch from their nest, that it may soon start spreading across the countryside to your north.
Dozens. Yeah, that is not good. It's not good.
Yes, they're
Okay.
part of the issue. They seemed very willing to flee once they became recognized the battle was lost. Even if we were to pop some sort of trap or something, I'm not sure they would stay around for it to be affected.
Possibly. I don't have intimate experience with these creatures, but from what I've read, they do have keen instincts. But whether or not they are intelligent to that level, I'm not sure.
They seemed rather flighty, but it seemed usually they would just burrow into the ground. If I had to guess, I would say they would return to their nest, but no idea what will happen if we attempt to burn it out, if they'll simply spread around, or if they'll be confused and stay in their nest until they die.
It's hard to say. A complex that big underground, there could be dozens, there could be hundreds, maybe even more. Yes, this is not good.
Certainly a matter above our skills alone, I would feel.
But
Unless,
she kind of beckons for you all to come in and please come in, come in. Um, we will find rooms for you. You all look a little worse for wear.
We
thank you.
drink and sleep.
Great appreciation.
She kind of goes over to Gognor. Mr. Torvan, how are you? Are you okay? You see Gognar with his like nasty kind of beard, and at this point, like I mentioned, he's portly and he's just like soaked with sweat at this point, and he's just like he's looking pretty bad considering he wasn't really attacked. So he kind of he looks over to her, like glares, and I'm I'm okay. Just a little spooked, but things would have been much worse without the help of these people. And to that, they both kind of look over and give you a nod, and Gognar kind of pats you on the shoulder, Cleese. I can't say I was so sure when they broke into my house, but, well, that's
We
the
didn't
past.
break in. Nothing was broken.
Yes, we'll let bygones be bygones.
Stay in rum once we hit the inn.
Yeah, and so she gathers some more servants and starts giving them orders to like clear rooms and to um, essentially like show people to rooms, offer them any sort of amenities, water, like whatever. Again, this is kind of in the dead of night, so they're like trying to wake people up and whatnot. So after a few minutes of being led, you were all led, unless you were looking to do something else, you were all led down a large hallway adorned with just like various gilded pictures of, you see like a bunch of busts of all manners of people. They look mostly male, and like they're all like really official, really well done paintings. Um, and then down this long corridor, you're taken like right, and then another long, skinnier corridor that has just like a bunch of rooms, and you're let in. Um, And Kala looks over to you, Felix. I will spend some more time on those books. I'm surely interested in what's going on, but if what you say is true, I believe we may have more pressing matters.
Yes, that's fair. Uh, I look at my just shrug down at my like clearly like battered self. Yeah, I might want to take a good night's rest and figure this matter out first.
Very well, Mr. Beaumont.
Yes.
I've not forgotten about you either. Um, I know you want to see the master, but um, at at the very least, we won't see him. Possibly the end of tomorrow, but maybe 2 or even 3 days. I'm not sure.
Completely understandable.
But you're free to stay here uh, as long as you need, and it's possible maybe you and your compatriots and we can come up with some sort of plan.
Indeed. Something to present to the Lord, hopefully.
I'll
Indeed.
think on this.
Now, if you will excuse me, I have to attend to the others.
Kala,
Yes.
real quick, could you show me the way outside? I kind of gotten turned around in here. I just need to do something outside and then I'll be back.
Of course. Um, I'll have one of the guards escort you in and out. And she leads you back down like that large hallway that has all the picture frames on it into like the main foyer, and beckons over a guard to escort you out.
Okay, I just want to look for a uh any type of bird, a raven or anything that can fly.
Okay.
And
Um, I was just gonna say, go ahead and make a perception check, or you can make a survival if that's better.
Maybe a bat if it's the middle of the night.
Yeah. So you see various creatures, nighttime creatures, but again, this is in the city. But in this, after you go out of the foyer, there's like this courtyard region where there's like many larger trees, and you can see um, right off is you see an owl resting, perching in one of them. You also see a bat that seems to be flying around, kind of like the back of the courtyard.
oh, Owl brother. I'll try to speak to him with speech of beast and leaf. I just want to get his attention, and then I want to cast. I'll have to do it as a ritual because I don't have any spells left. But I want to cast Animal Messenger, and I want to ask if he'll deliver a message for me.
Okay. Yeah, he the leaf and whatever one I can't remember. That's the one where they don't speak to you, but they understand you, right?
Right.
Okay, so the owl kind of like um, readjusts and like turns itself towards you and like kind of looks down. After you ask it to deliver a message, it kind of flies down, perches next to you.
Do you know of the Flat Grass Grove down south in the Donnerwood? There's a tree out there named Splintered Trunk. Do you know where I'm talking about?
The owl kind of like does like a weird kind of like animalistic nod and like scratches and lifts its talon feet.
Perfect. Would you be willing to deliver a message for me down there?
It kind of like cocks its head to the side and looks at you.
Okay, and then I'll give him my message, and I don't know what form of payment they would want. Like the spell doesn't specify I have to pay them anything. I just I was gonna throw in something, but I don't know what an owl would want. I give him some rations.
Okay. So you kind of like break up some of the like dried like jerky and things like that that you know that an owl might like, and it
Oh
like
yeah.
picks away at it um, while you give it its message.
Okay, and after it flies off, I'll just head back inside.
Okay. What was the message? Just so I know. You don't, if you don't want to say it, you can type it or whatever. Just so I know what it is. Doesn't have to be exact word for word. Just
Okay. I did type it out because it does have to be. It is a limited message. It has to be 25 words or less. But
okay. If you want, you can
it's
either just paste it or send it to me in Discord or whatever you want to do. Just so I know, because obviously it's gonna take time for this owl to go down there anyway.
yeah, and I'm pushing the limit. It's like a 50 mile range. Like the force is like right within range.
Right.
So okay, yeah, I'll just copy and paste the message, and then I'll head back inside, back to my room.
Okay. So after you wait a minute, you let this owl kind of feast on the dried meats and whatnot, and then you begin your message. Um, and as it finishes up, it kind of cocks its head again and kind of does that weird like nod thing that it did, and like kicks up and like flies off.
Okay.
Okay. 10-4. So the guard escorts you back to um, your room, should you wish, unless there's something else you were looking to do outside.
No, that's good.
Okay. So is there anything anyone else wishes to do uh, tonight? It's super early in the morning.
Gonna rest while I can. Maybe have a pint or two
Yeah,
and snore.
I'm just going to sleep.
Yeah, going right to bed.
Okay.
It's like 1 in the morning.
Yeah. Like if there's no, I mean, there's no real booze to drink unless for whatever reason you like had some on you. Um,
Oh, it's a castle. I'm sure they got a cellar somewhere. Ha ha ha.
okay. So, yeah, obviously the night passed uneventfully. You're safe in a castle. So, you all can have your long rest per the norm for you guys. You sleep in later. It's probably like 9 or 10 at this point. So you guys can go ahead and you get half of your hit die back. So if you expended any during like short rests and whatnot, you get half back. And you guys are at full hit points.
I like to wake up just story-wise, wake up a little bit, a couple hours before like everybody else. Like since like 9, maybe like 7,
Okay.
8, and start doing some like research spellbook stuff on how to identify the crown and do some sort of inspection stuff on it or the circlet.
Okay.
By the way, round up or round down on hit die?
I round down on everything.
Okay.
So it's, and what it is it's half your. You get however many levels you have worth of hit die. So you're level 4, you have 4 hit die, which means you restore 2.
Mm. Oh, okay.
I mean, you could do it half of expended. I normally do half of level.
Okay.
You never get everything back, though. You did half expended. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so you're looking into what it's going to take to identify this item. Did you actually get the pearl or whatever that you need? 100 gold.
No.
Okay.
I'm guessing it's here where I'm kind of. Oh yeah, I definitely need that, and I'm also getting. I guess I get sidetracked on. Oh wait, I can make stuff bigger or smaller creatures. And I'm kind of get sidetracked on. How can I use that?
Okay. So, you all wake up, and um, the the day is yours. You haven't been summoned or anything like that yet. Seems to be a fairly peaceful morning. A nice contrast to, um, you know, what happened yesterday.
Well, I'm gonna wake up then and start wandering around looking for food, trying to find a guard, ask if they know anywhere that I might find some.
Yeah, the royal guard points you towards you have to go out kind of in the foyer. That's where like the guards are, and they point you down a hall that has essentially like a nice larger dining area. And when you get there, you can see quite a few of the what we'll call them refugees um, from the mines, um, just kind of like sitting and feasting, having breakfast, mostly breads and cheeses and whatnot. And then you can see uh, like one of the servants comes out and they just have like a plate full of just sausages stacked up on a plate and kind of hands it out as they start kind of helping themselves.
Okay, yeah, just don't really stop or talk to anyone, just go and eat my food. That's about it.
You get a couple like nods of approval as you sit down. A couple of people that are just like, bloodied and dirty and whatnot.
Actually, yeah, after I finish eating, I'll just walk around a little bit, not really stopping too much with anyone, but just making a little bit of small talk, just being is everyone okay? Anyone particularly wounded or anything? Just going around making sure that people are okay.
Yeah, you
Getting
get
my face out there a bit.
you get mostly like blue collar kind of like we're gonna be good. Live another day, work another day, stuff like that. You get a lot of thank yous and I don't know what I would have done if you weren't there.
Alright, well, other than that, I'm gonna wait to say anything else I'm doing until the others have said anything.
Anything the rest of you would like to do?
No, just wander around there and we have any party money or
I was gonna say I was gonna wait until Ranagor comes down and ask if he wanted to go to the find a magic store to get some that pearl or whatever.
Yeah, let's go. I've been thinking about that too.
I'll probably head outside the city with Slip, just calm him down after yesterday and just do a bit of the training with him.
Okay. Do you remember how many days are left?
Yep, I'm at 5 out of 7 on calm.
Okay.
Okay. As far as party money goes, I don't think we have any.
I don't think we got a reward or anything so far
Not for
from this.
this. Yeah.
No compensation yet.
I was just hoping to upgrade armor eventually.
Well, you can talk to Call at some point today if you want, while we're all out, unless you're going somewhere too.
Oh, if we don't have the money for it, no worries. We'll make do.
Yeah, I don't know if you were there at the time, Ed, but um, many of you, or I think all of you, traveled over to like there's essentially like a craftsman's alley where it's like all like a bunch of like really nice craftsmen. It's almost like a cul-de-sac that has like all these packed in businesses, and there's like armorers there, like weaponers, tinkerers, like all sorts of shit. I I believe Alan went there and he like got like some fancy clothes and whatever.
Yeah, now I'd need 200 for some splint if we have it, but if not, I say we can wait.
Oh, was it? Branniger was asking about some armor there too, about
All right,
essentially
Brannigan.
studded leather.
Right, you got those small bits of carapace. Yes, you can go bring those to
Oh yeah,
I
we've
forget
got
what
to
his
take
name
those
was.
to see if they can be made into anything useful, armors or shields or something.
Right, Cleese, you had that large chunk, didn't you? You strapped to your
Yeah.
back or something.
Yeah. Alright, well, I'll go over to the armorers there and see what they can do on that.
Okay. And then the rest of you, or I say the rest of you, but Felix and Branagor are looking for a magic distributor.
Yeah,
Okay,
something along those lines.
so go ahead and make an investigation check, Felix. And while you're doing that, Cleese, yeah, so I mean, so you go over there, you go to the armorers. You've actually been there before. That's the same place that you all went, and Branagor was inquiring about his special armor. So you walk in, and you see this pretty beefy looking half-orc gentleman just kind of like working over his workbench. He seems to be like entwining something. Looks like pieces of hide or leather of some sort. And I won't role play out the whole thing. That's one thing that we talked about, unless you want to, unless you're looking for something like specialty. Hello? Do you guys hear me?
Oh?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, it's just fix others. I'm not saying anything.
Okay, so yeah, Ed, are you looking for something in particular, like something custom, or?
No, well, I'm seeing what they can do to maybe turn this stuff into armor there. I don't know what it would equate to. Well, for protection wise, like a splint, or could it be a lighter version of plate or something? Or
Right, so you have the essentially the onkeg. Like what you broke free, what you carried with you, I said was the equivalent of like one shield. Like you have
yeah,
like just one big chunk that you just like, oh, yoink, like this is mine.
yep. And if the stuff works good there, I can always go back for more.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just trying to look up the logistics here. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so through discussing what it is, this half-orc gentleman, he don't inspects it. He kind of like taps it lightly with a hammer and like just does some other testing on it to see if it's actually viable. Yeah, this looks like some good material. I could probably do something with this. And then he takes a few moments and he makes measurements of you and whatnot. Unfortunately, this isn't going to be enough for a full full breastplate, but it'll cover quite a bit of the materials. Um,
Awesome.
by
Good
using.
shield.
So is that what you're going for? Is you're going
Oh,
for?
if that's what I have enough for.
Yeah, I was saying I was just using it in comparison. Like you have enough for about the size of a shield.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously not going to be enough to make like splint mail or something out there. Or
Right.
a shield would be good. If it's lighter than what a metal shield would be,
Okay.
you give
So
a extra something, or
okay. Yes. Very good. I believe I can do something with this. It will take me a bit of time. I'm also working on a project for your friend, the larger gentleman.
Alrighty.
Yeah, he knows because he saw you come in the other session.
Cool.
I'm actually trying to finish up his, the leather part of it as we speak.
Awesome. Sounds good to me there. Pick it up in say a week or something.
I could probably do a week.
Alrighty. Sounds good to me.
All right. Very good.
You got a set of splint there, and how much is he willing to start with it for? Well, actually, never mind. I can't wear it. All right. Nope. I'm good there.
Okay.
Too heavy for me to wear.
Okay, so you leave the large chunk of chitin
Yep.
with him, and yeah. So shield's only 10. Yeah. So he offers to make you the shield for 5 gold pieces for the labor, and free on the materials.
Alrighty. Is this stuff going to be lighter than a normal shield, or
It's the
is
chunk
it
you
just a pull
had.
factor?
The chunk that you had was about the same weight, but the chunk you had was like larger than the shield that you have by a little bit, and it was also
If I
like
can,
bulkier. So you could assume it may be lighter by the time it's done, because at this point it's just like a random chunk of monster part, and he has to turn it into something.
so splint is too heavy for me, but if I could get enough of this stuff and he could craft it, I could probably wear it then.
Possibly. I would go ahead
Alright.
and because what is splint? What does it require? Is it 15 or 13?
Just a 15 strength. 15. I've got 14.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would have knocked it down one modifier.
Alright.
So
Cool.
it seems apples
Alrighty.
to apples. It seems to be slightly lighter, like volume wise. Just the piece that you
Awesome.
had was larger and about the size of a shield.
Cool. So I use that or have to find some mithril. Good luck. Alrighty, that does it for me then. Back to
Okay.
meet the others to find out what we're doing for the day.
Okay, so so you guys spend a better part of the morning, because again, this is like a pretty large place, and you don't seem to see anything magical per se. You pass various wares. There's like, jewelry, and again, there's like a lot of food goods at this point. See some like finer like silks and stuff, like trade goods.
I was gonna say we could settle for a jeweler's or something like that if we can't quite find a arcane supplier or whatever.
Okay. So you know of there was the jeweler that you guys have already been to, that you sold the rings to and whatnot. That you know that one exists. Besides that, again, like, you're not really sure. It takes some time. I would say, like, if you're looking to go somewhere else, I would give you another investigation check, and just say, like, time wise, like, how long does it take you to actually find somebody?
Could I assist him to give him advantage since
Uh,
I'm walking with him?
yeah, sure. You have advantage on this one. Okay. So, as you kind of branch out a little bit, staying like, close to each other, but, you know, covering grounds that the other one isn't. Um, you walk through the town. It takes a little while. It probably takes like a good hour and a half, even with like asking people. And you, Felix, you know that like magic isn't super duper common. So like,
Yeah.
in order to distribute magical items or to practice higher level magics, which is like anything above like a level 3 spell, you have to be licensed as an arcanist.
Yep.
So, um, it does take a little bit, but you see it's actually not that far away from the House of Cinnamon. It's kind of like, if you imagine House of Cinnamon is kind of almost on a hill, and then off to the side, like at the bottom of the hill, sort of like behind it, um, you do see a smaller magic shop. It just has like a potion and a magical effect on it.
You head in and start inquiring about a pearl for identify.
So as you go in, you can see that there doesn't seem to be a lot of stock. It's kind of like a smaller shop. It seems to be more in the realm of like
Mail order.
alchemy kind of stuff for the most part, but there is like just various magical goods. And I would say, yeah, that's something like they would have standard. So the it seems to be like a older woman. She gets it out for you and exchanges.
Brandiger, you said you were able to loan me a little bit for this one. Maybe I'll help you out with the armor.
Sure. How much do you need?
I need 37.
Okay, how about I give you 50 so you're not left with nothing, and I still should have enough left to provide for my armor.
Okay, that works. So I will get you back at some point.
No, don't worry about it. And if you need more, just let me know. I have more. I'm just I don't know. When it comes to things like this pearl or whatever it is you're buying, it's pretty much going to be part of utility. It's not like you're buying it for yourself. So I don't really want you to pay me back for it.
I guess that's fair. I imagine at some point we'll be able to, if we find more items like this, it'll be useful for everybody to know what they do. So,
Yeah.
well, that's fair. So, how much are you charging for this pearl? I asked the person.
100 gold, mister.
Yes, I take the gold Brandiger so graciously offered, and pay her 100 gold to get my pearl.
Thank you very much.
Is it worth 100 gold?
Yeah.
Is it a 90 gold pearl? That won't work.
Pearl. Unless you, Brandigar, want to look at anything else, I think I'm good for this shopping.
I can't think of anything. I just came to tag along.
Cool.
I was
That's what?
I was just hoping to meet someone like Burgle. I like that guy. I figured maybe his brother ran a shop up here or something.
Yeah, we should make sure we get back to Claremont. to find a musical guy. Unless we were doing anything else, I'm gonna head back to the castle and figure out what the circlet does.
All right, so that took probably the better part of like going out and exploring, doing all the bullshit. Probably like an hour to an hour and a half. And Alan, you said you were going out to train your horse, to train Slip.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I was gonna take Slip out of the city.
yep. Okay, so it takes you about roughly the same amount of time. Like you stroll in a little bit later. Cleese, you go to the armorer, and then is there anything important you're doing after that?
Yeah, having a drink or three.
Okay. So it's not hard in a big city like this to find the establishments. I mean, you're a seasoned veteran, you know where to look.
Ah,
All right, so you return back to House Cineron, Felix, and you are let in, and you return to your room. You see Kala kind of um, hustle bustle, like going and making sure that everything is attended to.
Gonna head into the room and start ritual casting Identify on the circlet.
Okay. So I will hold on 1 second here. So as you do so, take a little while to lay out all the sigils and everything proper as your spellbook details, and you focus in. And hold on 1 second. All right, I'm messaging you what this is.
Let's see.
So if you give me 1 second. Is there anything anybody else is doing?
I'm just hanging out with Felix.
I'm just kind of poking around, pretty much. Again, probably if there's nothing to be doing and no one's like calling on me for anything, I'll just hang out with the miners a little bit. Not like really talk to them, but like just make it so that I'm around them, just checking up on them, pretty much. But other than that, just kind of minding myself.
Okay, that's interesting. So it glows when you're near dwarves. And also makes you a bit more healthy.
it gives you a nice beard.
So whenever a dwarf is about 100-ish feet of this thing, it'll make this little glow.
Does it only invigorate you when you're within the vicinity of a dwarf?
No, that's a separate. It seems to be two separate enchantments on this.
Interesting. I wonder who thought this was a good thing to make in a dwarven city.
I mean, I guess if you're within a dwarven in enclave of all dwarves, it'll tell you whether someone was near you or not.
That's very true.
I'd give you notice if you were in a private situation or not.
It's very true.
still very interesting and still fairly useful.
If we ever happen to be ambushed by dwarves, we'll hopefully know ahead of time.
Who will certainly know.
Well, certainly useful.
Yeah, should we
Just
see
for
what
the
the other
extra
guys are up
health.
to?
Sorry, would.
Yeah, I missed that.
Oh,
I
no,
miss
even
it,
for the
but
extra health, it's good.
Yeah, that's the useful part for. That's the main useful part for us at the moment.
what's it called? I forget if we went over this when we were talking about in the ruins. Are there still major dwarven cities around? I forget. Or are they like not really have a civilization anymore after the stuff that like destroyed the ruin that we found?
Well, just general history. Like once upon a time, we're talking like probably 1,000, 1,500 years ago. There was essentially there used to be more like monolithic tribes, if you will, of people, like the
Like
dwarves.
monocultural
Yeah,
empires?
like the dwarves and the elves and the human. You know what I mean? Like mostly separated. But since that point, things have pretty much become homogenous. Like, population wise, like you might go to a city and it's 60% human and only a small percent is like halfling or some of these other uh, races. But I mean, generally, everywhere you go now, the cultures have mixed, and it's more of a location culture as opposed to like a racial culture.
Let's see. While we're on the topic actually of like history and stuff, is that the same case with like nobility, or will it be generally aligning with local population, or is that like different from the different empires? Again, just like general history knowledge, I guess I would know. Like, are some of the empires like all the nobles are humans or elves or something, for example?
There are cases when that happens, but most of the time, as in with other nobility, it's just who you know and who's your family. So, like, if there's, say, one or two or three prominent human families or elven families per se, and they are governing this region, then their relatives and their descendants, whoever is essentially going to become nobility. So yes, at that point, it's um, mostly, or in some cases, all human or all elf, just because of the family. But there's other cases where there's like a couple of powerful families that are um, interracial, or just like this is a human family, that's a dwarven family, this is an orcish family, and they're all prominent leaders. So then you get more of a mixture of races in the nobility in that case.
I see. Okay.
There's no like one big country for dwarves, one big homeland for elves type thing, or
Um, no, not really. There's, I mean, in a sense, like for instance, the dwarves, um, they have a certain locale that is kind of like
their
almost like
domain
their
type thing.
holy lands, almost more of like a pilgrimage, or like the motherlands kind of a thing. But even there, like, it's not all dwarf. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It's just
So they
it's
have
more of like
like,
a tradition, or like a something like that, like remnants of the past being monoculture.
yeah, so it's like
But
traditionally, like, say this whole peninsula was some race. Nowadays, obviously, there's tons of like everyone around on that peninsula, but like for X race, like that's traditionally where they're from. Like maybe we'll find more of them there than other places, and that's like kind of the homeland.
right, and again, it depends where you go. Like there, you might find a village that's like 90% orc and 10% human or something. Like there will be cases, but as a general rule, it's all the races are kind of homogenous. And I don't know if I believe I told you, I don't know if you remember, but um, in my setting, like orcs are not necessarily, they're not like evil creatures. They're kind of like another race,
Yeah, I think
as
you
opposed
mentioned
to
that before.
just being straight up evil. So when you get like, half orcs and things like that, it's not just a, orcish raid and mom got raped or whatever. Just so you know.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. So should we meet up and go talk to Kala again?
Good to me.
Suppose. Sure, she'll be interested to hear about the circlet. Also, did you take back the books, or did you just hand those over to her?
I gave her 2 of them for study.
I see.
So, none of us can read Dwarven, so
Yeah, she probably hasn't read through them yet, but maybe she found something about him when she had some free time. She seemed rather interested in them.
yeah.
Okay. So you make your way out, like back around to the foyer region, and then like go like up the stairs where you've been to like where her office area is. You can see a lot of the refugees from the mines are now like they're starting to go out of the keep. They're being escorted out. Most of them they look a lot cleaner, like bellies full. At this point, it's whatever, like 11 or so. It's around lunchtime, 11, 12. So you go up and you knock on the study, and you hear a voice. Come in, come in.
As we head in, and uh, guess what? I figured out what the circlet does. Sorry, my voice is a little shot at the moment.
Not a problem. It's okay considering everything you've gone through. But excellent. Um, so, what is it? I've been pondering over these books what little I can with everything going on.
So I'm not sure how it relates to the books, but being a Dwarven society, so what this does is it glows with proximity and number of dwarfs present within a rough 100-foot range. In addition to granting its user some benefits to health.
Ah, interesting.
Yes, quite.
I wonder what it was for. Well, I have read um, in one of these books, specifically the one I was looking at first, on the history. Um, it appears that these Makunic peoples uh, that used to live in this archaic civilization lived sometime around uh, 900 to 1,000 years ago. Um, just doing some other research, rough figures. Um, I don't know. It's possibly a symbol of royalty, maybe, or leadership of some sort, possibly.
Huh. Interesting. Guess that makes some sense.
May I see it?
Would be sure. Take a look.
Thank you. And she ponders it over. Ah, yes, yes. And she starts like flipping through the pages and whatnot. And she kind of like stops for a second, and she looks up to you all. Before I get too sidetracked here, we really must do something about what's going on in the mines. Have you any ideas?
The only idea I have so far would be to bring a much larger contingent of men.
I mean,
Pretty much hold out at the entrance and slowly start fighting and burning our way in.
I was thinking the same of trying to draw what forces they are up to the surface where we could fight them uh, on our terms. If we could draw small numbers of them up to the surface and thin out their force enough that we could go down and start taking the eggs.
We could send in a smaller contingent, maybe even ourselves could go in. Just investigate, see how riled up they are now. And once we have a better idea, we'll know how many men we can send down to start slowly making our way down.
I was thinking actually, they didn't quite swarm until we start attack the eggs. So if we could draw some out or head down there and kill them slowly, keep the eggs until we thin their force considerably.
What kind of
Possible.
what kind of troops does this city and region have? Do you have what's called heavy infantry forces, cavalry? What sort of forces could you bring to bear?
Well, we do have some. I am not by any means the war master, but we have a small contingency. We have, from what I know, a small, heavily armed force, cavalry. We of course have the local guard here, and we also have off and on a smaller, a mercenary force, if you will.
Hmm.
Defenses are generally by land not bad here. Just by the sea and the volcanic lands to the north and the desert to the east, or to the west, sorry.
I see.
Mountains to the south.
Yes, I was thinking we could take mostly infantry, just have a group hold out at choke points, lure up a few of them, and just repeat over and over again, have a wall of infantry to try and dispatch them.
Could possibly work. And she
Do you have anybody who knows about these things, like what they eat and stuff, and maybe a little bit of a modified rat poison to help?
that's not quite a bad idea. Huh. That's possible. That could possibly work. These creatures are certainly carnivorous. It's possible we could take some livestock or something and use them as bait. They bring them back and poison the colony. It's not bad thinking. It's possible, and as that she pushes the book that has the circlet kind of to the side of her desk, and then she gets up and goes, because this whole study is pretty much lined with bookcases and whatnot. So she goes up and picks out a few books, plops it on a secondary pile that she already had on her desk, and starts flipping through. I can't say there's many people here that would know too much about these creatures intimately, but it's possible. We're not that far from the desert. Normally we don't see these sorts of creatures here, but from what I've heard, they're quite common. 100, 200 miles maybe to the west. In the desert and in the Badlands.
I think poisoning them would be a good option. I thought about a choke point, but that poison that they spit at us is scary. Like we could try to choke them out, but they could just if
Acid,
they're
dear. Acid. And she kind of like
oh
corrects you as you say poison.
oh yeah, I should know. I got hit with it many times, but the only problem with the choke point is they could just stand back 20 or 25 feet and just keep spraying us. And sure, we could have some ranged attacks of our own, but I don't know how effective it would be. If we could disable, like if we could either poison them and outright kill them, or at least poison them and make them sick to where their acid no longer functions, then a choke point situation would work pretty good.
That's true. Another alternative, modifying the idea of luring them out in small groups and killing them, would be let's see, the bottom of that the quarry-ish area before the mine proper is rather large, right? Large enough for say me and a few knights that you may have here could wait on horseback, lure out a small group of 2 or 3 of them, and we could circle around them, cut them off from fleeing back into the cave entrance at least, and just couch our lances at them as we go past.
It's possible. I'll take your word for it. To be honest, I've never been to the mines myself.
The reason I'm liking that the poison idea is it works whether they flee or not. They've been inflicted with something like that. If you have the texts, enough texts here to they think would cover such a subject, I can help research the types of foods they would need or the types of poisons that would be effective.
Of course. Um, I think it may be a good idea to summon the War Master as well. Get his thoughts. It's of course his force. And at that she brings over a stack of books, and she has like a couple of side tables on here, and she lays all the books about the Ankeg like on one of the tables.
I start going at him as she's yeah.
If you give me one moment, I will call for the War Master.
Kala, while you're at it, just for the future, could you also gather any books about gnolls that you might have?
Gnolls, yes, foul creatures. I've heard nothing but their attacks and their savagery that's been going through these lands.
Yeah, they're next on our list, and I just want to have that information available whenever we need it.
Okay, I'll be sure to show you what I can. And at that, she gives a kind of like a quick wave and goes out of the goes to the door, opens it, and fetches a guard, gives some orders, and then comes back in the room. She goes over and weeds through. She has like one of those giant rolling staircases, ladders, if you will.
Yeah.
And she kind of like wheels it over closer to the corner and goes up, starts looking through some things. Takes her a few minutes, and then finally she comes back with probably about half a dozen things about gnolls. Lays them out on a separate table.
Sweet, thank you.
You're very
No,
welcome.
research. I do have the whatever researcher thing from the background. That helps.
Yeah. So you can go ahead and what I will do is I will. I'm sure you have it anyway. You guys have probably already looked at it. You can just go ahead and look at the stat block for um, for the creatures, for the Ankeg, like the actual entry in the monster manual.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so like it's not metagaming to be like, oh, I'm gonna use this dex-based spell because they have shitty dex.
Yeah, like that would give you like all the research that you're doing on that would give you good enough, especially because he's like the researcher. Like it just
We
makes
basically
sense.
find that page in a book,
Yeah, or like you
Yeah.
get it through the reading.
piece together.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna be right back.
Plus it makes
Guys,
sense
research
because.
you away.
Alrighty, see you in a second, Cleese. So, plus it makes sense anyway because I mean, I don't. I'm not disillusioned. I'm sure you guys have all looked up stats, or at least some of you, or have maybe played against the creatures and just know what they are.
Yeah, I have the monster manual. I look at it just for. I hate to sound nerdy, but sometimes I just look at it because it's cool. But I just don't like to. I like to learn. I just want my character to learn. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes it's hard to not metagame if like you're reading the monster manual anyway. But that's why I usually mix it up. Like most of my stuff is not what's in the monster manual. Like I'll give them strange abilities or buff them or nerf them or whatever. But certain creatures, like for instance the Ankeg, are just very like they're just like scary big insects. But I mean you'll
Bring
see.
him with that HP.
So yeah, so you guys are free to look at that, memorize it, screenshot it, whatever you want. You can use that as your character's knowledge. You know what these creatures are capable of, and that still takes like you're pondering through these books. So even with the researcher feat, it takes you a little while, and she is helping as well. You can see a servant knocks on the door. Come in, come in, and comes in with two other servants behind her. They just bring a platter of they make little sandwiches and have all sorts of finger foods and like pitchers of water and lemonade. Very good. Set it down over there. Let me know once the War Master has arrived. Very good, my lady. And they hurry out of the room. So again, a little while you guys are doing this. You memorize the stat block thing. There's another knock at the door. Miss, the War Master has come to see you. Very good. Let him in. And you see just like this, like super beefy looking orc dude. He has like full armor on except for the helmet, and he just walks in. He has kind of like a small couple of bodyguards around him, and he waves them off, tells them to stay outside. So, these are the adventurers that I've heard of. Yes. This is Mr. Beaumont, and this is his compatriots here, looking to help. I assume you've heard everything that's going on in the mines. Yes, unfortunately. Well, I've called you to see if you have any ideas and if we can work out a good plan. I think we've come up with at least something, one or two ideas. But I will let Mr. Beaumont you would like to refer.
Yes. Well, one of the ideas is not exactly something we would need uh, from you and your expertise that much, but one idea was to poison them. Get some livestock and whatnot, find a poison that's effective with them, just leave it out for them for a few days or weeks, slowly poison off their hive. Another idea I had, which could definitely use your help and your men's help, would be to take perhaps myself and some of your cavalry and place us at the bottom of the mine near the entrance. Send a small group inside to lure out a small handful, 2, 3, maybe 4. Lure them out into the mine proper, let them move into the middle, and just circle around them with our horses. Have 1 or 2 men go into the center at a time, lance at them, and move their way back out to the center. Just harass them for as long as possible and just whittle them down. No need for anyone to come in for a prolonged engagement with them. Try and stay far away from them so that the acid that they spit cannot get onto us or our horses. And that would be another long-term solution. This would likely take days or weeks to thoroughly clear out the mine. And either way, poison or through the drawing them out, we'll likely need to send in a large group of people to burn whatever eggs are remaining, seeing as there are several dozen when we were last there, and by the time we clear them out, there will likely be several dozen more.
I see. Good plans. Now what if they don't all come out? How exactly do we smoke them out if they don't follow us?
Well, hopefully not all of them would come out. Hopefully we would send a small group, 2, 3 people, into maybe more. Just wouldn't want to alert too many of them. Just bring out very small groups. But yes, if eventually they stop following us out, not quite sure. The poisoning plan, again, could work. Just haul the meat down there and leave it so that it doesn't alert them, or at least they're less cautious of coming outside for the food. Or perhaps bringing in fire, just riling them up a bit more at that point. Get them a bit more active and willing to come out of the mines itself, and we can again repeat those plans as necessary.
I'd say either way, we should poison them before we start doing anything else. At least to
Definitely
weaken
agree.
them.
I definitely agree.
It seems like a good plan, at least on paper. Livestock is easy enough to come across here. As for the poison, who would create such a poison?
Currently, we don't have a supplier. Perhaps there are some alchemists in town. I believe, Felix, you found some shop that might have something like that. Poisons, perhaps? Did you notice any?
They did have. It wasn't more alchemical focused magic supplier. I'm not sure of large scale poisons though. It may be easier to find a large amount of insecticide or rat poison. That'd be more of a general
Perhaps.
good.
Maybe if we come up with, if we do some more research, perhaps we can find something simple to make. Have perhaps some of the miners even help with its production.
I mean, is there anything?
Do some mass manufacture of it.
Any herbs out in the countryside you could use? Hemlock, anything like that?
I only wonder if we could find enough for the large quantities which would be needed to poison this hive effectively.
So how many of these
Do you
creatures
have a
are
druid
there?
that can grow plants, or
Adults few dozen, I believe it was, that chased us out, and eggs several dozen, possibly low hundreds. Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, low hundreds.
I see. Well, there's no guarantees. We don't know exactly what affects them, but possibly if I don't know what you think of this idea, Kara, but we could possibly attempt to capture one and bring it back to Fort Vignan. You could check your contacts and try to get what apothecaries we can.
Maybe perhaps we could
Attempt different types of poisons.
Correct.
find a few possibilities, see what affects it the most. Maybe capture 2 in case we have one that seems to work somewhat, and it kills it just in case there's something more effective that we hadn't tested yet, or if it gets too ill from not quite effective enough poisons.
So we would need some. I like the idea of capturing and making sure poisons work first. I'm not sure how we would go about capturing one. I could hold it still for a while, but
Well, you've fought, from what I've heard, quite a few of these creatures from your endeavors so far.
correct.
So, what do you think would be the best route for this? I've not encountered
Perhaps-
these creatures before.
Perhaps if you had a skilled blacksmith who could forge some chains, perhaps?
Maybe if we
Very
stole a
large
couple of eggs.
manacles.
My concern there is the acid.
That's very true.
We
Maybe
need
if-
to restrain it in a way that can't burn through its restraints.
Maybe if we stole a couple of eggs, we can experiment on those.
I think
Also
that's
there.
more than like to one, draw the wrath of the entire horde again. 2, I'm not sure what would be effective on an infant and NKEG would be as effective against a adult.
We would
Well,
also
if-
have to wait
we
for
get-
it to hatch.
If we get the
Mm.
infants and we get the eggs or something that'll kill the eggs, we can put those in. I mean, last time we fought and made a lot of noise going in there. Just sneak in, grab a couple, run out.
That's
So
true.
we can start pouring things on them to see what happens to them.
I definitely think we could manage to steal one or even a few. My only concern, though, is that if we do steal eggs and we want to try testing on a live pancake, then we would have to wait for it to hatch, in which time the colony would have that much more time to expand.
Yeah, but if we get the egg and we find something that works on the egg and we get in and kill the eggs, and there goes that generation, and then we pick off the others.
Insectoids tend to have very quick breeding times. I'm not sure. Well, it would be a setback. I'm not sure it'd be
Decisive blow that
and,
we're looking
yeah.
for.
So, and just from your research, these creatures go through kind of like seasonal mating and breeding seasons, which lines up to like about now is one, where they can churn out dozens, hundreds, thousands of eggs. It depends on obviously like the starting, like how many there are to begin with,
Yeah.
how many eggs that they can churn out, and in many times what these creatures do is the females will actually kill the males and lay the eggs inside of them.
Yeah.
As kind of like a husk of protection, which then like forms, these eggs kind of merge with that. But just from your research, from what is known about onkegs, is that it appears to be a mating season right now.
Okay, so we would be able to set them back a season, at very least, by just going after something that attacks the young. This would also, depending on how we do it, if we have a poison that or some substance that attacks the eggs, we could at least prevent them from using the mine as a breeding ground. It wouldn't kill the rest of them necessarily, but it would force them to move, which may or may not be a good idea.
Yeah, in the meantime, they can send to the big city there to see if else has anything they can do. And I don't see us being able to clear the mines out, unless there's only like a half dozen left or something.
The thing is, I just don't.
Get
I don't
them and
think
get the eggs.
If
I
we
mean,
go
we
them, if we get them
personally-
slowly, perhaps, but
we personally certainly won't be able to clear the mines, but perhaps with the aid of the retinue here, whatever forces.
or if they are significantly weakened via some sort of poison.
Even weakened, I think the sheer numbers would require us to seek some help in clearing out the just vast population that they have down there.
I think getting one of them is possible if we go about it the right way, getting a live specimen.
Right. By the way, when we were down there and fighting them, did we notice, like, is that acid, like, corrosive enough to be, like, burning through, like, heavy iron or steel?
It was certainly beginning to chip away at like armor and whatnot. Because it was more of like a splash. It's not like it was a constant stream or anything. Like there are slight nicks on your armor and whatnot where it's kind of like pock marks eaten into it. Not deep, but like you can see like surface damage.
Well, if we make a large cage, perhaps, it would certainly be an expensive thing. Very
I'm
well
thinking
made.
just binding it in the right way, in the way it can't point its maw at whatever's binding it.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think how we'll bring it back that way. I was thinking a cage could very easily be mounted on top of a cart type structure.
I'm wary of a cage because it would be able to move and attempt to melt the cage.
I mean, we could certainly bind it within the cage as well.
That's a fair point. Or we could just tie it and drag it along behind the horse.
I'd be much
Should
more
be easy
weary
enough
about
to
letting it.
secure some chain from the artisan's quarters.
Perhaps even if maybe not a proper cage, but having it restrained somehow, and then having it restrained down to a reinforced wagon or cart where its head is facing out the back, and it can't turn its
Yeah.
head, perhaps.
Yes, I think we can
Yeah.
bind the most of it with just normal chain. I think we might want to figure out a good way to get its head set in place so it can't turn it towards its body. Some sort of.
If its neck isn't too flexible, we could get some kind of clamp that can tighten or loosen to whatever size we need it to be. Clamp it around its head, and perhaps with some metal reinforcements to the wagon, we can have chains on either side of its head so that it can't turn or anything. Again, have that just face out the back.
Yeah, if his head was facing out the back and his face was towards the ground, the worst he's going to do is spit on the ground. And if he can't move his head, then we shouldn't have much to worry about. Capturing him would be the hard part.
Perhaps a sleep spell or something of the sort.
unfortunately don't have anything like that.
I do.
Well, there we go. I can assist in a couple of ways. I can try to hold it with that earthen fist. Um, or if we get it asleep, that's probably the easiest way.
How long can you maintain that fist?
When can I maintain that? That is a casting kind of one.
think it's a
Only
minute.
a minute.
Only a minute, I see.
That's still quite a few rounds. We can
It
beat
may
it
be
up
enough for
quite a
us
bit.
to restrain it further.
I was just wondering how long are you able to keep it asleep?
Let me check my spell book here. Do-do-do-do. Right. So sleep. Starting with the creature's most hit points. Basically, it says until something wakes it up.
Let's see. I'm just
Takes
I think-
someone to shake or slap it awake.
yeah, I'm just
I believe
concerned.
it lasts for a minute.
Duration.
It says falls
Oh, yeah,
unconscious
1 minute.
until
Yep,
Duration
1
1
minute.
minute. Yep.
There you go. So that's still quite a few rounds if we're gentle with it.
I'm just trying to think if we'll be able to. I suppose we could possibly fully bind it in that time. We can repeatedly restrain it if necessary to finish the bindings.
Yes, it's if we can get one alone, get him out of the mine. At least I don't think we'll have much issue.
I definitely think it would be
'Cause even
best
if
to
it's-
bring it out onto the surface in the middle of that mine area.
Yeah, either luring it back there somehow, or it's because these things aren't light. These things is like what 800 pounds.
Indeed, they were very large.
Um,
I'm just thinking if we
we would either need your horse to
If we
pull it, and that doesn't quite work inside the mine.
no, indeed. I was thinking we would go down, try and find just one alone, alert it, and let it chase us out. And once we got onto the surface, then we could attempt to, restrain it, get it to fall asleep. Or even if we encounter maybe 2 or 3 even, could lure the whole group up to the surface, kill off 2 of them, and again just restrain the last one.
Yeah, that was my thought. Is once they got caught alone, they tended to flee. So we would need to likely lure a group up to the surface, kill 2 of them, and before the other flees, put it to sleep.
Perhaps War Master. I didn't catch her name, by the way.
Brandis Barrister.
Mr. Barrister. If you could loan some men to us, or lead them yourself, or trusted lieutenant, they could come with us, bring this modified wagon, which we are likely going to need, and while we bring up a small group, perhaps we can isolate one somewhat, get it to fall asleep, and your men can quickly bind it while we deal with the others.
That's
It sounds like a sound plan. Just given your experience with these creatures, how many men do you believe we would need?
To
You say small.
buy.
Do you mean several dozen?
I don't
50?
think several dozen would be needed, but perhaps
If we're just attempting to capture the one, I think
10
Half
men.
a dozen or so.
a squad would be sufficient.
About 10 men should do. Just enough to
Yeah.
help us in loading the surviving Anke into the wagon.
Of binding it when we have the chance.
Yeah,
so we
and
can
binding it
deal
while
with
we
I
what
think
we've
that
worked
will be the
together.
key of trying to bind that one. Because that'll be once the thing starts to run, it's going to be very difficult to get it.
Do we have any detailed pictures? If we can prepare the men somewhat by coming up with a method of binding it first. Hopefully.
Yeah. If we can
Yeah,
assume
for
I can
your
figure out.
research books, yeah, you see all sorts of like various diagrams. Some of them, like you see like a realistic like sketch and painting, and then you see a couple of more like theoretical, just like dissection sort of pictures, like anatomy.
Well, I'm sure going over these diagrams here, we can come up with a likely method to secure it, and we can get some competent men, get them informed about how this is. Won't have a chance to practice it, but at least they'll know. Hopefully that'll have them be skilled enough that they can restrain the beast.
Sounds like a good plan.
I like it.
The only issue will be getting a wagon prepared. I assume that you'll be able to acquire chains fairly easily, but the wagon, I imagine, will take some time.
That should not be a problem on both fronts.
I see.
I'll have my men look into it.
One other concern is depending on how long it'll take for this wagon and whatnot to be prepared, we'll be able to aid with the capture. However, and I believe it is it's 5 days, right? Like turning to the rest of you, Felix, Branagor, and Cleese. 5 days when we have to go meet with that scouting party, right?
I think that's about it.
Yes, in about 5 days' time, we'll need to be outside the city, helping deal with the knoll problem out in the plains. And after that, I'm not quite sure what tasks we might have. Um, After that was mostly out of our hands, so
4 days at the moment. So
after that's mostly out of our hands, so we should be able to return and help you again, but we will be unavailable in after 3 days' time. We'll have to depart to arrive on time.
I think it was 4. I think that's 4 days until we have to leave.
Is it? I
Yeah.
thought it was
Yeah.
4 days.
And it's gonna take a day or two to get.
Yeah, about a
get
day.
ready
It's like
for it,
right
so-
there.
Yeah, I think we do have time to go on this capture mission.
Depending on how
Before?
long it'll take you to prepare that wagon. If you can get something
I
suitably
imagine.
prepared within a day or two, then
Fair. That should be fair.
I believe we could. But
There's a war master. He's probably got one in the basement somewhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say
We
this.
should be ready to mobilize by tomorrow morning. I'll prepare
Nice.
10 of my best.
So if we leave tomorrow morning,
a day to get there,
day to get there,
Day to try.
day,
that
It's,
same
to try.
day.
day to get back, and that'll be perfect. And by the time, and once we return, it's going to take some time for the guards and alchemists and whoever are trying to concoct the poison for them to experiment.
In the meantime, the local ruler here can try putting a bounty on them and, pay like 10 or 15 gold each. Maybe get some adventurers from nearby to go take a look.
Possibly. Kala, yes, while we're going out and making this capture, could you look into, let's see, just the tradesmen and experts around the town, or perhaps even outside the town, and put out word to Saint Abbe Caramont looking for experts who could help develop this poison?
Yes, of course. I have several contacts as well in Fransport, and of course the nearby Kermont in Saint-Abbé.
Then I believe that could be your role, I suppose, in this plan would be gathering up the necessary expertise while we go and do this capture tomorrow morning.
Of course, it may take several days to get an expert here.
Right. Well, that'll work with us, seeing as we'll have to be gone for a few days' time, helping with the scouting of these knolls.
All right.
Kala, for the future, I'm going to be busy because I'm going on this mission. But if you do get an expert on this poison, I would appreciate if he wants to, or he or she wants to share their notes. I am not an expert myself, which is why I haven't volunteered any information. But I would just like to study anything that they find out, because I would like to learn about the poisons that they might get.
Could come in use.
Well, we can certainly ask. I know apothecaries can sometimes be very well guarded, but given the circumstance,
It'll be a useful opportunity to pick up some knowledge, Brandagor. Could be useful down the line for other large pest problems that we may encounter.
Yeah,
very well. I will see what I can do.
Thank you. I have this book, and it touches on some of the subjects, but I just want to learn more about it.
Ah, would you let me see for just a moment?
Sure. I'll hand her the book. It's a lot of herbalism. It touches on alchemy and some potion making and poisons, but it doesn't go into too much detail about it.
I haven't read this in quite some time. And you see she goes over and she pulls out, she has like a better condition version of that book. Well,
We should start a book club.
possibly.
Aye, they're good for when you gotta go to the garderobe.
Well, that's one way of putting it. And
That's interesting that you have the same.
She hands the book back to you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Take good care of it. Not many of these escape outside of the Arcanum. Okay, so with that, you see the War Master takes his leave. Lets you all know he'll fetch you tomorrow. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I'm just making sure it was silent. So he leaves. A couple servants come in and take the opportunity to like refill drinks and bring you like a small fruit platter. And so you guys finalize your plan, and I think that's a good spot for us to go ahead and take a break. Bio break. Be back in like 10-15 minutes.
All right.
Sounds good.
Good to me.
Okay.
All right. I am alive.
No, you're not. You're a figment of your imagination.
Mind blown.
We're all just figments of the evil deceiver's imagination.
So is everybody else back, or is it just you?
I'm back now.
I'm back.
Cool.
I think that was everybody back. Radio.
Ed, are you back?
Yep.
Okay,
Back.
we're all
Back.
back.
Back. Back. All right. Back to back.
Sweet.
So, yeah, you are still in Kala's study, hashing out the last remaining details, going over the diagrams on how you're going to hold this thing. You kind of relay that information to get passed on to the warlord, the war master. And I mean, you guys have spent like a time, like several hours from beginning to end of like the researching, and then you did all the planning, and then you're kind of like doing the post research. So at this point, it's probably like 3:30 ish. And yeah, Kala probably wouldn't kick you out. It depends how much longer you want to stay. Like, do you want to wait out the night? Do you have any other preparations you'd like to take?
How far was it to the mines?
It's not quite a day. Like, you can move about three to four hexes per day, just to give you a
A
reference.
little late to start now and get there tonight to rest.
We'd be waiting on the people anyway. The guards with the cart and stuff.
Yeah, they said they could mobilize by morning.
Alrighty.
So we can hang out tonight.
Felix, would you like to do an experiment with me?
Definitely.
So Kala kind of pushes her spectacles down a little bit and kind of like looks at you both, and then goes back to her.
I look at her and say,
Don't judge.
that awkward moment when there's no candy in the back of the cart.
No, what's up?
Well, I was going to add on to that and say it involves furries. But in all
Even
seriousness,
What? Okay, guys, I need more to drink if this is going to happen.
I want to try and see if I turn into something small, like a cat, could Orbit pick me up?
Under a weight limit.
How big is Orbit? Orbit's not that big.
Is I don't know. Orbit or not Orbit. Owls are like fucking big. They can carry pretty decent.
Harry Rabbit.
They vary.
They can carry like a big rabbit, probably like.
Do you like Wonder Twins thing? Wonder Powers activate?
I just wondered if
Yeah, let's try it. Let's try it. I mean, if we got time to kill.
okay. I
Let's
won't be
see.
able to
Owl
talk.
can carry 8 to 9 pounds.
Does it say that?
A cat should be no
I
problem.
just found that on a government website from California, or no, the Newfoundland Labor Canada, Fisheries and Land Resources say 8 to 9
There you
pounds
go.
apparently for a great horned owl.
What do they say on swallows?
Oh no, hang on. Okay, no, this is like, for example, a 3-pound owl could carry 8 to 9 pounds of prey.
That's
So
that's a big.
Well, they got a big
I'm saying
wingspan.
owls can carry like
I was gonna say, yeah,
maybe like
that's pretty serious.
an owl can carry up to like 3 times its weight, pretty much.
Holy shit! I did not know that. So sure, I won't be able to talk, but I just want to turn into a cat, and then I want to see if Orbit can pick me up and just see what happens.
Let's go for it.
Very
I
good.
imagine we are heading outside for this. Or something.
Oh yeah, wherever you feel is good to do it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because he's going to need to run up and to grab you. Yeah, so we head outside. I pop out Orbit.
The guards kind of like eyeball you as this owl just like poof into existence.
Fine. Imagine they're going to give even more eyeballs when he turns into a cat.
Yeah, if they're looking confused, I'm gonna start like clawing at my neck, and like screaming, and then turn into a cat.
Don't freak the guards
Okay,
out.
go ahead and make a performance check.
That's a Cleese move. That's awesome.
Performance? Okay, hold on. I messed something up.
All right, so as you do it, it seems just like very like almost like mechanical as you do it. Like it's like you're trying to be over the top, but the guards are still like wigging out, but they just take out their swords and they just like shields up and like they're going towards you.
I kind of wave at him. He's fucking with you. He's fucking with you.
What manner of magic is this?
Magic. Nature based.
They kind of uneasily look at each other and like kind of keep their shields up and just watching.
And Orbit whips by and tries to grab him. As I'm talking these things.
No problem. Grabs him and just like into the air, and they're just like, what the fuck is going on?
And it worked.
Sweet. Okay. Well, I can't do anything. I'll just let him carry me until he's done carrying
I'm
me.
gonna have him do a couple loops. And dive down and drop him down.
Just drops you from 100 feet in the air. It's like cats always on 100 feet.
Try it. But no, I have him flip down and drop you like 10 feet off the ground, or 5 feet off the ground or something.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
Okay, I'll shift back and great. I really just wanted to know that for future information. I don't have a plan in my head right now, but I really wanted to see if that would work.
It could come in handy.
Yeah.
Just so you know as well, while you were carrying him, just mechanically, your speed is reduced by half.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I think he gets what? Is it like?
He's at like 60 normally or something?
Yeah, I think it's 65.
Yeah.
It'll tell you in the character sheet, so whatever that is, half of that while he's carrying the cat.
Yeah, speed is a 60 feet flying. According to the little owl monster page.
Yep.
Well, that'll certainly be useful for, I don't know, infiltration.
I'm sure we can make use of it somehow.
Can you change between your animal beast forms, like from one to the other, or do you have to change back into yourself?
I have never tried.
Just
But
thought,
He defaults back to his own because he only gets so many changes per day. It defaults back to his own in between, so hit points and stuff can reset.
I was just thinking it would be somewhat amusing to see how high up orbit could take you, drop you, and you could change yourself into something sturdier to take the fall.
Well, mechanically, I could do it in the same turn in the sense that I can shift out as I can either use an action or a bonus action to shift. So I could bonus action unshift, action to reshift, but I don't know about like directly turning from one to another.
There'd be like
Also,
a momentary
if,
pause, but
also, not quite sure how it works when you splat against the ground as a larger animal.
I would just.
I mean,
take,
I could drop you from I could probably drop you from a couple 100 feet up, but I'm not sure that's a good idea.
Yeah, I wasn't
Yeah.
thinking like hundreds of feet, but I was thinking maybe like a few dozen.
Don't want to answer your phone because
Oh,
it's
crap.
work calling again. You'd think
Isn't
maybe
it?
just this one time they could make it without you. You're relaxing, you got the day off.
no, by all means, keep it going.
I think that's his work ringtone.
Let's go. I was thinking, yeah, be like a dozen feet up. Say, like, you want to surprise a group of enemies. You could drop from a few dozen feet. One of your stronger forms, like the like wolf-like creature from before,
Yeah,
could probably take a fall of a few dozen feet.
yeah.
Drop into their midst.
Kids
That'd be
on the
cool.
base. Gotta love that.
Let's go.
Oh, a bunch of kids there having something happening at the fence to the base there. So I don't have to leave for another half hour. Okay. I'll send a car to look at it.
You on a military base or something?
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
Those stupid kids trying to get in trouble.
I know, eh? Like, come on. There's nothing to do.
Hmm.
Not like we have nuclear bombs at this base. They're down the street. Yeah. So did you get to fly and drop?
Yes, sir.
Ah, sweet.
Be a bit redundant when you can one day fly yourself, but for now it could be a useful tool to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could turn into a flying squirrel. Then you're not technically flying. You can glide.
True. If orbit would be too noticeable in an area, then he could glide down silent.
All right.
That was cool.
And
Speaking of weird things to try, Alan, I had an idea. What if I made orbit bigger, or what if I made slip bigger?
Bigger. That'd be really interesting.
Screw it. As I bring orbit down and cast enlarge on him as he lands.
Cast on. Wait, who are you casting on? Orbit?
Orbit. So he goes from a
Sick.
tiny to something, whatever larger than that.
Small?
Small? I don't know.
Let me check. Hang on.
He gets
Yeah,
twice
small.
as big.
now he can't get off the ground. He's too fat.
Huh. Wow. It would certainly help, say, fighting against some larger creatures, I guess.
Would you be able to still ride him like that?
Technically, mechanically, I can ride as big of a fucking creature as I want to.
We can try it. Oh,
The real issue, like, I could ride something that's colossal size, mechanically.
I
The
did,
issue,
your mama.
though, is fighting off of it. I don't think technically there are. Actually, no. I did see some rules recently. I don't know, because I actually thought about this. I was like thinking, well, what if I get a bigger mount someday? And I can't remember them off the top of my head, but it was something like pretty much like, say I would be if you went from a slip being a large size to a huge size, when it's huge size, it becomes a 3x3, right? Instead of a 2x2.
Yeah, that's a good question with you.
My cat's name is
I
Mittens.
think that's the case, and if that's the case, then
Is your mic
there. Are you? Wait, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
I haven't heard Dylan in a while.
Oh, yeah.
I was reading something while you guys
Okay.
were talking. So
Just making
Yeah,
sure.
what's
there
up?
are a few. Yeah, pretty much. Like we're just thinking, if we enlarge Slip to be a huge creature, how fighting off of the back of him would work. Since I have a lance, because I'm pretty sure I've seen a few different rules. Some of them by um, the creators, what's the name? Wizards of the Coast, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the right.
Yep.
Yeah. One of their people was like, the way that it was like, one of them said, we'll just assume attack distances from the center of your mount. But there's other rules too where you can just say, oh, it's the exact same thing. You just pretend you're the same size as your mount and you're fighting. Personally, I think that's a bit pushy because you could be like some enormous creature. And I mean, I'm sure GMs can just like wave that away. But I think it would make sense to have it be from the center, personally, especially like with a much larger creature, like with like if we enlarge Slip to be a huge creature instead of just a large creature.
Would
I
Slip
don't
start
know.
freaking out at that?
I mean, we should probably have Brandagor on hand.
Yeah. And speaking of which, Brandagor, if you turn into a bear or something again, I'm going for that for you, because that you being a giant bear sounds like a good way to deal with things.
That would be fun.
Or that wolf creature that you were before, the much larger one than even the bear.
Oh, true. That guy. Yeah, the bear's medium. He's a 5x5. The wolf was a 10x10.
Large.
Yeah.
Speaking mechanically, it adds a d4 to all your attack rolls, so the more you attack, the better that is. A boost.
Oh.
So,
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it doesn't do anything different. Like if you're going from medium to large as opposed to large to like gargantuan or something.
yeah. It just doubles your size, gives you advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. Your weapons grow to fit your new size.
Oh, nice. So like armor and stuff would grow, so I wouldn't have to worry about Slip saddle.
Yes.
I saw something amusing. It's like if I left the lance on Slip's saddle and stuff, let you enlarge him, then I'll have a twice as long lance.
And you can be able to barely hold it.
It's like I'm not allowed to use a shield, but I get a what's called a 20-foot long lance.
And the weight is multiplied by 8 for the.
Oh my.
Yes, indeed
Wait.
it is.
So
We're crossing a bridge with a enlarged Slip. We just go collapsing the entire bridge.
yeah.
Pretty heavy thinking.
Oh, unfortunately, it only lasts a minute
How
because I
fast-
could shrink the Ankeg,
That's still 10 rounds.
but it only lasts. I mean, if we wanted to take the Ankeg, make it small and carry it back, that would be super useful.
If we put tiny chains, do they then grow?
No.
No.
Darn, no matter fabrication then.
We could put normal chains, and I could shrink it for a little bit, and the chains would shrink to fit
Right.
1 minute isn't a long time
to move something super far.
Yeah, no, and shrink is good for us to get it out of the cavern.
Yeah, if we have issues and need to get it out of the cavern quickly,
We could
restrained. I could shrink it for a little bit.
We could shrink
Or
it.
if you have something like, pattern or something like that.
Shrink it down to a size that we could pretty much wrestle with. it'd still be decently large, about large as one of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Either way, unless you guys want to play around with enlarging and shrinking people, I
Yeah.
got nothing else to do.
We could cripple one by putting a small but strong ring around one of its joints and then letting it grow back to size.
We could find the barmaids and work on just body parts.
Don't think so. Don't think it works like that.
We could. We could try. Think of all the money you could make then.
I mean, Cleese, you could just your whole body be large.
It also lasts for 1 minute.
You know.
Sure, Cleese can
That's
manage.
all. That's all he needs.
Yeah, that's all we need.
It's more than enough.
That's right. Alrighty then.
I'm just imagining weird esoteric uses of that. We could perhaps, like, if we had a large board, enlarge in me with the board and be able to span a gap that way.
There's a lot of creative
Or-
uses. Yeah.
We see some armor there, we could shrink the armor, put it in our pocket, and run away.
It could be useful for theft.
Oh, any item dropped by the affected creature returns to normal size at once.
Can hold it. Can hold
I
the
guess,
whole
yeah.
board. Or indeed, if we had to make away with something that was of a middling size, we could grab it. I assume, as we're having this discussion, I assume we're a bit out of earshot of the guards, not saying this right around them, but if we were to want to acquire something, we could shrink someone, toss them into a large bag while they're holding the item, and just make our way out.
I
Now
mean, the
you're
person would only
talking.
become like a size of a child. It wouldn't be that small.
Multiple.
Hmm.
Asked it twice. What was that
Can't really-
wizard's name? Pym, with his particle?
Anyways, but yeah,
Yep.
perhaps enlarging slip could be. I don't know how useful. I guess if we're fighting a large creature, it would allow me to have a bit of a leg up on them.
Yeah, I'm thinking it might. Depending on how the fight's going, it might be more useful to do it on, say, Brandengar if he's transforming,
Generally,
or even if we're off and not and you're on foot, you directly.
perhaps. Yeah, I mean, I can see some slight advantage from enlarging slip like that, but be rather situational.
Yeah, probably. Still fun.
Could be useful someday.
Just for the hell of it to see what his reaction is. Thanks. Alrighty. So then nothing else. We'll rest for the night and head out in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you guys want to call it here and do like the full battle and stuff next, because I gotta.
Oh right, you have to leave in like 20 minutes or something.
Both.
I mean, we could get there to be ready to head back into the mine tomorrow.
All right. Yeah. In
Or
case
next
there's
week.
any random encounter on the way there.
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah.
All right.
Then yeah, I don't have
Alright.
anything else to experiment with.
Little mushrooms.
So you guys kind of take the night, and you had your, your planning session beforehand, and now you're just like coming up with all these crazy ideas and all this stuff, and you kind of pass the night just doing that. The next morning, remember you also get your hit. Yeah, at this point you have full hit die because you've taken a few days to rest. Early in the morning, probably 7 or so, you guys are summoned from your rooms. the War Master has arrived personally to see you guys off, and he shows you he has 10 of his best men. There's several archers. There's three of which are archers. There's a couple cavalrymen, what looks like, and then the rest are infantry. So there's like 5 infantry, 2 heavy armored, and 3 archers.
That's a well-diversified squad.
Solid.
So, yeah, you guys, if you just want to go ahead and roll 1d6 2 times.
Yeah, I'll just roll the second one since I still have it up.
Go for it.
Ooh.
Nice.
Wait,
Okay.
it's a dragon.
Okay, so as you guys go by the ruins, you're approaching where the mine area is. You're still a little ways off from the mine, not like terribly far, but maybe like a half a mile away. And you hold on, let me do the do I do so well. Okay. Okay, so as you're taking the main path, you see that not far past the ruins, where you guys stopped, and there's like this rock face, like almost like a sheer cliff in this one area, and there's like a gap that goes in between, like a large, almost like a crack that kind of it just like goes into the sheer cliff, like just into blackness.
Huh.
Looks ominous.
I didn't notice that before. Maybe.
It's not terribly huge. You probably couldn't fit the horses through. Be like single file. But again, like you can see maybe like, because it's daytime, maybe like 30 feet, 45 feet into this crack, and then it just goes into blackness.
You know what I'm wondering? We didn't notice this before. I wonder if there are more. There would be another nest of ankegs there if they started there, grew their thing, and then moved into the mine.
Perhaps. Huh.
Might be worth looking at. Make sure there's not more of a problem.
If there's enough space on the other side, what's it called? That new spell of yours could get at least slip through. Have them. If there's a wide enough space on the other side, we could have you shrink slip down to a more appropriate size to get through that gap.
Wait.
Bring him
So
through with us.
is this a through thing, or do we just see the entrance?
You see the entrance. It goes back into blackness. It's like
Yes.
this. It's not quite like a big cavernous opening. It looks more like a giant kind of like crack in the sheer cliff face.
Oh,
And it's
up
kind
at
of,
the edge of the cliff there.
yeah, it's kind of like half hidden a little bit, and it's not far. It's maybe like a quarter mile into the ruins that you encountered before. And you know from before too, like, it's not like this one little spot had ruins. It's like you were passing a whole area. Like, this must have been like a large city or something. Like, there's weather-worn, like time-worn ruins kind of scattered throughout this small chunk of.
I think that might be something to either check out on the way back there, or send your owl in to look around. If he doesn't come back to us, well, next time you bring him out, he can tell you what he's seen or what's seen him.
I was
Not a bad
thinking,
idea.
even if that's a cavern, if it's large enough for the Ankeg to be fighting in, perhaps it would be large enough for Slip to be fighting in as well.
Yeah, but Ankegs generally burrow and go underground, and they're a little more sure-footed. Horses don't do that well in caves.
Probably not, but If it's a big enough space, then maybe we'll try. Probably not, but maybe, just keeping it in mind.
So I go up towards the entrance of it and send Orbit in to take at least a cursory look, like whatever I can get, like a couple dozen feet in.
Yeah, it looks like this crack goes on for its whole site, straightforward. It seems to narrow a bit as you go on. Not down to like a small point, just like slightly.
Huh. Heading, so it heads downward and starts to narrow a bit. That's all I can really see.
It's not really downwards. It's kind of.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's 100%, like parallel, horizontal with ground level, whatever.
That's not noticeable.
But it's not like it's descending down or it's ascending or whatever. Yeah, just from the entrance, it's Orbit's whole vision.
So, what I'm thinking is that we don't want to. I want to make sure this isn't another nest of them. And on the way back, if we have a live ankeg on the cart, I think we're gonna want to keep good pace.
Also, if this is a new nest, perhaps it'd be easier to pull one out from here.
Yeah,
Well,
if it's smaller.
Might just be a hole that we just noticed on the way there that we didn't see last time.
I think it's worth
Place with
Could
books
be.
and stuff
It'll
again.
be quick to check out.
poke our head in, or at least poke Orbit in, get closer into the mouth of the cave or whatever it ends up being, send Orbit to look around inside without us.
Yeah, I'd like to check it out now. Well, I'd like to check it out, but I don't want to do it on the way back because if we're successful, I kind of want to head straight to town to deliver the live Ankeg.
That's a good point.
Alrighty. I'm easy. Just ask any barmaid.
So the men stop and they kind of trot back. What's the holdup here? Thought we were proceeding to the mines.
We've noticed a small opening here. We didn't notice it before when we came up here. We're thinking possibly there could be some Ankeg in there, in which case it might be easier with a less established nest to get some out of there. We were just going to do a quick inspection of it. If you all would like to settle down, not exactly make camp or anything, but take a break.
Yeah.
Food, water. Just rest yourselves on the horses while we go investigate.
It's like afternoon at this point, because you're like almost there, so it's probably like 1 o'clock or so. So there. All right.
You can all
But we got some
stop
time.
for lunch.
Yeah. So they all tie up their horses and make just a small camp.
We aren't going into the mines until tomorrow morning anyway. So.
Right.
Good to meet
so
you.
we have plenty of time to investigate this if it ends up being a bit larger.
All right. So you guys have light spells and whatnot.
Yep.
And torches.
Do we want to be stealthy? I've prepared a spell today. It could increase all our stealthiness.
It certainly wouldn't hurt. I was thinking we could walk just inside if Orbit sees nothing and just send Orbit well ahead of us. Whatever.
Orbit can go 100 feet in front of me while I'm
Hiding her.
using its whatever. That's
vision.
vision. Yeah.
No, we can let Orbit scout the way forward. I mean, it's a cave. Whoever may be in here isn't going to think too much of an owl flying around.
That's fair.
As long as we keep Orbit well ahead of us and don't be too overtly loud.
One thing to note as well I am using Orbit's senses. I can't use my own. So it's not terribly easy for me to keep moving.
You can
at
ride
that
on
point.
one of our backs. Okay.
Okay.
Let's put makeup on him and dress him like a girl.
Please don't. Um,
And you can only see 100 feet, so you do have to kind of follow along, right?
so Orbit has to be within 100 feet of me, and he has the 120 feet dark vision
Right.
from that point.
Okay.
It shouldn't be difficult at all for me or for Brandagor to carry you if that was needed.
I guess that works.
Well, I could just guide you.
Yeah, as long
That
as
too. Are you able to walk? I didn't think about that.
I'm able to. Yeah, I'm able to walk. I just can't see where I'm going.
Perfect. Put a leash on you. No. Yes, Brandagor or myself or Cleese will just guide you along.
Okay. I guess we send out light spell. Yeah, no one. We don't really have much dark vision, do we? We need light. So light spells out. Orbit ahead of me. Being guided, and we head in.
Okay. So this hold on here. I'm just making a note. So yeah, this thing goes straight back in probably a good 400 to 500 feet, like of essentially walking forward. It's not like quite a straight line, but close enough. And then it starts to kind of make like a curvature, and you can see there are some areas where like you hit a cross section where it appears to maybe intersect some of this larger system that you've seen before when in the ruins, the dwarven ruins. It appears to be like a caved in section um, where like both sides of whatever this was, like you can tell it goes from like mountain to more like artisan fine stone chunks, if that makes sense, like on either side of
Yeah.
you. You can't see down it's caved in, but like you're like just walking past, so it seems to be intersecting with that network of sorts. So as you continue in, again, this gets like narrower and narrower. You left Slip behind, correct?
Yeah, I just left him with the guards.
Okay, I was gonna say you'd have to, because at this point it narrows down. So yeah, as you continue in this like 500 feet, whatever, it starts to become almost like more jagged, I guess is the way to put it. Like it's not quite a straight line. It's almost like if you were to look like how a crack spiders out on glass.
Yeah.
And you can see it starts to like split off into different paths. Some only go like 10 or 15 feet and are just a dead end, where it's like literally cracked out.
Are there any of those like dirt mounds that the Ankegs leave when they pop in and out of their? Is there any signs of their tunneling?
Go ahead and do an investigation check.
Investigation.
Yeah, you don't see any. You don't see anything that appears to be um, like those dirt mounds. It seems to be like a fairly mostly undisturbed like stone floor.
No signs of the Ankeg. Wait, so she'll make sure this isn't. She'll clear this out.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's too large. It looks like things will narrow out and close off as we go, so it shouldn't take us long.
Yeah.
Just make sure it's clear.
So yeah, at this point you can see like there's coming off of like this main crack that's in the mountain. Um, there you see other like various little cracks that go off, and it's mostly dead ends. And as you follow this larger crack, you come around almost like this like jagged S shape almost, and another maybe 200-300 feet worth of travel, and orbit like flies around, and it comes out to this big, like this larger section, maybe like 50 or 60 feet. No, it'd be more than that. Probably like 200 feet in diameter. It's almost like a cavern of sorts. It's like very jagged, like there's a bunch of like broken rock and whatnot. It seems to be cleared out somewhat in the middle. Again, because of like the S shape, like Orbit can see this, and so Felix can see this, but nobody else does at this point.
Huh. It opens up a bit above, blah. It opens up a bit up ahead.
And
Big cavern.
there's like you can just see a bunch of like stalactites, like just kind of like moist dripping down.
You see anything interesting in there? Anything alive or just sitting around?
Nothing in particular. Nothing at the moment.
Hmm.
Do I see anything that's not just cave?
Go ahead and make a you can go ahead and make a perception check.
It's perception via orbit.
Yeah. Okay. So you see, actually, you can see like there's quite a bit of like crystal in here. It doesn't give off like a super big glow, but like there's like a faint kind of glowing coming from this crystal. Just like these various like lattice like fucking pieces just like jutting out of the earth, like the stone. And you can see like the middle of this cavern is kind of cleared out a little bit better than the edges, and you can see. Hold on. 12 or okay. Hold on. Go ahead and make a stealth check. Probably for orbit. I would say probably at disadvantage, considering it's like dead silent. So the flapping kind of gives you away.
Yeah, 12.
All flaps are silent. All right, guys, I gotta go get change and get out there. Don't kill me, and if you do, I'll come back as a warlock or something and haunt your ass. Ah.
Okay.
Later,
It
guys.
should be pretty interesting next week, so look forward to it, man.
Cool.
Take care.
Okay, buddy. Later.
See you.
Okay, so do we want to
Oops, hold
cut
on.
it there? Or?
I want to just do one more thing. No, okay. So, um, you scan over and you see this creature that just has like these like spires of stone, kind of almost like a large porcupine looking. Its head like lifts up and just like starts scanning around. It's kind of like huddled up next to one of these crystals, and it's looking like around your general direction, but it doesn't like gaze right at you. It's like it knows something's there, but it hasn't quite locked on to orbit.
I'm gonna just take a look at this thing and then pop orbit out. Make him disappear.
Okay.
Okay, so there's certainly something. It's not an Ankeg. There's a bunch of, and I'm whispering this. It's there's a bunch of crystalline structures in this big stone-like thing. That's like on or hugging one of them. I essentially relay what you told me.
Wait, so there's some creature in there, you said?
Yes. Looked alive to me. Certainly wasn't a natural formation.
It was something that looked like it possibly couldn't have been alive? What do you mean by that?
This thing looked like almost earth and in nature, correct?
Correct.
I'm-
It's hard because you can get shape with dark vision, but you can't get like colors, hues, and things like that. It's like just
yeah, it's kind of hard to see when I'm doing that. It's not the best. But it was kind of it was earth and in nature. It wasn't. It was certainly looked like it was alive though.
Is it some kind of like, what are they called? Elementals? Something like that, maybe?
I wouldn't know. I've never seen one. I've heard of them, read of them, but perhaps.
How big was it?
How big was it?
it appeared to be probably about it was curled up a little bit, but your best guess somewhere between like 5 and 7 feet in length. You know, approximately like 4 to 5 feet wide, and it had, from what you could see, like multiple legs on it, and like its head just kind of looked up, and you saw across like the top surface of its body, it had all these like stone, like spikes, kind of jettisoning out of it.
It was big. It had a bunch of legs. It just had spiky things on it.
It's like some kind of like spiked, like, not quadruped, but like laying on the ground type of thing.
Yes, yes. It was kind of curled up. It's kind of hard to tell.
It's like a serpent, maybe? Of some kind?
Serpentine, centipede-ish.
I've
Well,
never
not
heard
quite
of
that many legs. I don't
anything of
think.
the look.
Nothing really rings a. I mean, unless you'd like to roll to see if we can understand what this thing is, but I don't. I don't think so. I don't think Felix would quite know.
Like trying to like I'm imagining like trying to rack my mind, thinking of any animals I have heard of, but
No, the only one that A, because he saw it, B, because he may know. I would say Felix could have a roll. Let me decide here. You could go ahead and make either an Arcana check with a higher DC, or hold on here. I'm just referencing the skill list just to see what makes the most sense for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably. I don't think you would know of this because of nature. I don't think you would know of it because of history. I would think Arcana. I would do Arcana. That'd be the only reason you would know of this creature.
Okay, that's fair. We had 12.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. It's like its shape, its silhouette. It seems like somewhat vaguely familiar, and you're like almost like maybe you've read about it, or maybe like you can't put your finger on it.
Yeah, I mean, I've read about a bunch of weird creatures. I may have come across this once or twice, but nothing's ringing a bell.
huh. How big you say it was again? Like
Yeah,
Like less than-
7-ish feet long. This
That would
wide,
be-
and I give about like 4 or 5 feet.
It's like 5 to 7 feet.
Huh.
I think it's small.
Hmm.
Well,
I mean, and you said there's crystals in this cave, right?
Yeah, there are a bunch of crystalline kind of structures in there.
They look
Yeah, I'm
okay.
guessing it's related to the whatever this thing is, but
Probably. I don't know. You said the thing was earthen, so maybe, I don't know. I'm thinking of some kind of odd elemental creature. I've heard a little bit about them in the lessons I got as a child. Didn't pay too much attention with magic stuff. Not quite my interest, but I mean, I've heard of what elementals are.
I mean, there is one way to find out what this thing is.
I mean, definitely. You'll see it with our own eyes. And maybe harvest some of those crystals. Those sound valuable. I know
Could be.
Branagor was. This doesn't quite fit your bill for. I know you haven't talked to that blacksmith again yet. I don't think this would quite fit your bill for armored components that aren't metal and whatnot. Because who knows what this thing is made of?
Yeah, I don't know, but I want to see. I kind of want to see what's in there.
Yeah. I mean, always valuable resources to be had.
Well, let's take a look. And, I guess jump cut to next week.
Yeah, I would feel a bit bad about leaving Cleese out on this. So
You can
yeah,
do
leaving
whatever
that out.
you can do whatever you wish. Events leading up to, if you wish. But if for whatever reason, if you're like, all right, let's fucking go, we're gonna attack whatever this is, then I would probably cut it off there.
I'm also kind of tired. I got a bit of a cold and wouldn't mind an extra half hour of sleep tonight.
Okay, no problem.
So,
Okay, I'm fine with it. I just don't want to leave Ed out on it before we like creep forward and try and peek around these crystals, see what this thing is.
Yeah, this is like a weird like S shape, and orbit had gone, so you're probably like a decent ways still, like at least 80 or 100 feet away from like the mouth of this opening in terms of distance, but it's more like an S. So, okay. All right, guys. Well, that's where we'll leave you then, with this essentially silence. All you hear is like the dripping, the beating of your own hearts, and you can just barely see, what little light the light spells provide you.
well, next week is going to be interesting
Yeah.
with this and trying to capture an Enkeg.
I'm excited to see like how many dozens of pounds of this crystal I can carry back with me and sell.
Well, the good thing is we could, if we succeed, this cavern really isn't that deep. We could just haul it out to the road and pick it up on the way back because we're gonna have a wagon.
Oh, we could even leave it, get our own wagon, and don't tell anyone about it.
True.
And gosh, this reminds me of something I actually got into recently. I just got into another group, not Dungeons and Dragons, actually playing Stars Without Number. I don't know if you guys know that RPG.
No.
You guys know that?
Sounds sci-fi.
Yeah, it's sci-fi type stuff. And
Sounds
we were
like
doing
Starfinder.
I don't know. If you know Traveler, it's like got some stuff related to that, I think. Something like that. I think it uses like the same system as that. Or similar system, like obviously a modern version of that system. But so we're running we're about to start doing like a West Marches like sort of style campaign. But while we're gathering up people to play that and giving the two GMs time to start organizing plot lines and organizing the setting and stuff, we're doing some like intro sessions so that everyone can kind of get their characters ready, because we're going to do these intro sessions, do a 10-year leap, and then get into it. So like we're creating our characters, doing like single missions with them just to like get a feel for like what we like playing and stuff. And literally the very first mission is setting is pretty much, there used to be this big human empire, and a lot of the technology was controlled or like powered using like psychic ability. And then there's this thing called the Scream, which killed all the psychics, and it fucked up all the psychic technology. So no one has that anymore. And what happens is like several hundred years later, people slowly redevelop psychic abilities and psychic technology. because like some things are more and less destroyed. And now we're coming 10 years away from the end of the Silence, is what it's called. And at the end of the Silence is when major powers rediscover spike drives, which are like their warp engines, pretty much. And our shtick for this very, very first intro mission was, what's it called? A ship like mysteriously appears on every sensor in the system, and we're sent out, and it crashes into an automated thing. It like drifts into it and crashes, and we're sent to go investigate it. We go investigate. Oh yeah, look, it's a spike drive ship. And what's it called? We've like dealt with like the little security robots inside. This like rogue AI which controls one planet in the system came and tried to fight us with one of its little scout fighters, and we killed it. It's like, okay, well, let's take this back now to our employers, because the idea, like, instead of West March is like everyone being in like one tavern or whatever, it's we're all working for this one chartered exploration company. Like, think like royal charter companies from like the colonial era type of deal.
Yeah.
And we all work for this company, and immediately two of the players are like, okay, look. And we looked inside the ship, there's like all this cargo and stuff, like weapons and whatnot. It's like, okay, how much of this can we stash on the asteroids to come and get back later? It's like, can we rip the spike drive out, replace it, somehow replace it with a normal drive, and then start selling that spike drive on the black market? This one dude's like, can I patent the spike drive? But the whole
Please
time
go
I'm
into
like,
detail on futuristic sci-fi copyright law.
like, we actually were like starting to get into it, but the whole time this conversation is happening, I'm just sending direct messages to the GM. It's like, this is going into my after action report to the company. It's like, if they start stealing stuff, I'm gonna send a discreet communications to the authorities to come help immediately.
The strict law.
And then we did these here, hang on, let me, oh shit, I don't have it on this computer, I have it on my laptop, but oh shit, actually I can drag it out of the other Discord.